Hello everyone, I welcome you all on this webinar on basics of COVID-19. The topic that we will be discussing today will be the clinical presentation of COVID-19. Myself, Dr. Ashish Gupta, I'm junior resident in the Department of Medicine, AIIMS New Delhi. I would like to thank my faculty preceptor, Dr. Pankaj Jowar sir, for his valuable inputs in this presentation.
Again.
So coming on to objectives of this presentation, so by the end of this seminar, you should be able to know when to suspect COVID-19 infection, understand the differential diagnosis of the disease, and identify patients who are at higher risks of death. Now, so coming to clinical features, first of all, we'll see the incubation period. Most of the clinical cases will occur within first 4 to 5 days of exposure. However, the incubation period can extend up to 14 days. The age group, it mostly affects middle-aged adults. Here we are quoting the age group as delineated by the studies in Wuhan. So the median age group was around 49 to 56 years of age. Now coming to clinical spectrum, it ranges from mild illness to critical illness, and case fatality rate, it is variable. It depends upon the nation, the age group, and the number of comorbidities. However, the adjusted case fatality rate for China was 1.4%. So here we are going to see the age-wise distribution in India and South Korea. So as per the data released by Ministry of Health and Family Welfare on 4th of April 2020, we can see that majority of the patients, around 42%, are in the age group 21 to 40 years of age. This was followed by the age group 41 to 60, which comprised around 33% of the patients. Similarly, elderly more than 60 years, they comprised around 17% of the total number of cases. In children and adults less than 20 years, there were around 8.6%. In a similar way, when we look at South Korea, the number of cases as of 11th April was around 10,480, and they also had maximum number of patients in the age group 20 to 29 years, that is around 27%, followed by 30 to 39 years. So this is in sharp contrast to that we have seen in Wuhan, where middle-aged adults, that is 49 to 56 years, were mostly affected. So now we'll come to the clinical spectrum. So it has a spectrum ranging from asymptomatic patients to mild illness, severe illness, and critical illness. Here we would like to tell you that this classification varies across different studies and different countries. So in mild illness, patients will be having mild fever, dry cough, sore throat, nasal congestion, malaise, and headache. In severe illness, patient will be having respiratory distress, tachypnea, that is respiratory rate more than 30 per minute, and hypoxia, that is a room air saturation less than 93%, or a PF ratio of less than 300. And on imaging, he would be having more than 50% of the lung involvement. In critical illness, patient will be having frank respiratory failure, shock, or MODS. So coming to clinical pathophysiological correlation, the infection has 3 stages. First stage is of early infection. This stage is characterized by the florid replication of viral particles. Second phase is the pulmonary phase, in which along with the viral multiplication, host inflammatory response will continue to rise. This is followed by the stage of hyperinflammation, where host inflammatory response dominates. So the clinical symptoms in stage 1 would be mild constitutional symptoms like fever, dry cough, diarrhea, and headache. And here clinical signs will reveal lymphopenia, increased, some patients may have an increased PT, increased D-dimer, and LDH. In stage 2, patients will be having shortness of breath. They may or may not have a ARDS. And here imaging abnormalities on chest X-ray or CT scan will appear. Some patients may develop transaminitis. Procalcitonin is usually low to normal in these patients. In stage 3, that is the hyperinflammation, here patients will be having ARDS, SIRS, shock, and multi-organ dysfunction. So they will have an raised inflammatory markers like CRP, LDH, interleukin 6, D-dimers, ferritin, troponin, and proBNP. So the potential therapies will be discussed in subsequent webinars. Now we will be presenting a recent meta-analysis. This was conducted by Rodriguez et al. And in this they had included around 660 articles which were screened, and 19 articles were included for analysis and 39 were case reports. So the timeline for this They had included articles from January 1st to February 23. What they had found that in demographics part, mean age group of affected patients was 52 years and males were around 56%. Now, in this meta-analysis, the most common symptom in adult was fever, whereas the most common symptom in children was dry cough. Other manifestations reported included dyspnea, myalgia, fatigue, sputum production, sore throat, headache, and diarrhea. And there are certain other features as well which were not reported in this meta-analysis. These included nausea, conjunctival congestion, hemoptysis, anosmia, and dysgeusia. Now coming to complications, as you can see that hospitalization rate was around 88% and ICU admission rate was around 20%. Most of the patients developed ARDS, around 33% of the patients, and other complications included acute cardiac injury, acute kidney injury, shock, secondary infections. Mortality was reported to be around 14%. Now we'll see the clinical course of the illness. As already told, signs and symptoms usually appear after 5 to 6 days of infection. Some patients may progress from mild to severe illness over a period of a week. Median time to dyspnea has been reported around 5 days from onset of symptoms, and median time for hospitalization has been reported around 7 days. Recovery time for mild infection is usually around 2 weeks, and for severe illness it can range from 3 to 6 weeks. This has been taken from WHO CDC Joint Commission report of COVID-19 cases in China. Here they have classified into mild, moderate, severe, and critical. So as you can see that 80% of the patients were in mild to moderate category, and 14% were in severe category, and only 6% were in critical category. Here we have to know that the classification systems vary according to different studies. This one is from WHO CDC. Most of the mild to moderate patients will have only upper URI symptoms, or they may have a mild pneumonia without any tachypnea or significant respiratory distress. And most of these patients, as you can see, will proceed mild to moderate. They will proceed towards recovery. A minority of them may go into moderate, followed by severe, followed by critical phase, and finally mortality. Same goes true for moderate patients. Severe patients are those who are having significant tachypnea, hypoxia, and these severe patients, some of the severe patients will proceed towards recovery, and majority of them will proceed towards critical phase followed by mortality. And in critical phase, patient will be having multiple organ dysfunction, acute kidney injury, acute cardiac injury, and these patients are those patients that will most likely be having a fatal outcome. So hence we can see that most of the patients are having clinically mild illness, and most of them will proceed towards the recovery. Now coming to complications include ARDS, acute kidney injury, arrhythmias. Now arrhythmias can be due to underlying myocarditis caused by COVID-19 over underlying cardiac ischemia or electrolyte imbalances, especially in ICU patients, and drugs, specifically hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin, used for treatment of these patients. Similarly, myocarditis, cardiomyopathy, shock, multiple organ dysfunction syndrome, and stroke are other reported complications of COVID-19. Now coming to differential diagnosis. So we will have two sets of differential diagnosis. First one is infectious. So most commonly it presents as a viral pneumonia. So that pneumonia can be caused either by adenovirus, influenza virus, parainfluenza virus, respiratory syncytial virus, metapneumovirus, or rhinovirus. Similarly, bacterial pneumonia, atypical pneumonia caused by mycoplasma, chlamydia, and legionella, and acute HIV syndrome, they all can mimic illness caused by COVID-19 infection. Now we'll come to non-infectious differentials, especially in critical patients. Alternative diagnosis include acute pulmonary embolism, acute coronary syndrome, acute chest syndrome in sickle cell patients, acute exacerbation of COPD or bronchial asthma, pulmonary edema. Here we need to note that pulmonary edema is a radiological differential diagnosis of COVID-19. Now here are certain risk factors which portend a severe course of disease. They include advanced age, cardiovascular disease, diabetes mellitus, hypertension, chronic lung disease, cancer, and chronic kidney disease. Similarly, there are certain laboratory parameters which have been found to have a poor prognostic outcome. These included lymphopenia, elevated liver enzymes, elevated LDH, elevated inflammatory markers like CRP, ferritin, elevated D-dimer, elevated PT, elevated troponin, elevated creatine phosphokinase, and acute kidney injury. So, if a patient of COVID-19 has these factors on his laboratory investigations, then they are more likely to have a poor outcome as compared to other patients. Now, this is a very important slide of this presentation. That is, when do you suspect a patient to have a COVID-19? So, all symptomatic individuals who have taken an international travel in last 14 days, all symptomatic contacts of lab confirmed cases of COVID-19, all symptomatic healthcare person, and all hospitalized patient with severe acute respiratory illness, that is fever, cough, and shortness of breath, for which we don't have any other alternative diagnosis. Similarly, all asymptomatic direct and high risk contacts of a confirmed case, they also need to be tested once. Here, symptomatic refers to fever and or cough and or shortness of breath. So these are the patients in which we will like to suspect the COVID-19 infection. So now we'll be seeing the definition of a contact. This is according to WHO. So according to WHO, a contact is a person who has experienced any one of the following exposures during 2 days before and 14 days after the onset of symptoms of a probable or confirmed case. Number first, that is face-to-face contact with a probable or confirmed case within 1 meter and for more than 15 minutes, or direct physical contact with a probable or confirmed case, or person was involved in direct care of a probable or confirmed COVID-19 without using any personal protective equipment. So this was all about clinical presentation. Now I would like to invite my faculty preceptor, Dr. Pankaj Jowal sir, to summarize the whole of this session. Thank you.
So the take-home message from our side will be that COVID-19 is a acute viral illness. Most of the symptoms are non-specific. Most frequent serious clinical presentation is that of pneumonia, and the diagnosis required high degree of clinical suspicion. Whenever required, we can take help of radiology, and confirmation is by RT-PCR. And of course, higher the number and the number of comorbidities, poorer it will be outcome. So this is all about this webinar. Thank you. Thank you very much.